You came aboard when I said, I'm gonna make King Holiday legal here. It was gonna be a day to educate people about the civil rights movement and peace and nonviolence. Y'all understand? That's what King Holiday was about. And people wonder why I have Winston on here today. Hey, he McGruff. Look what's happening in the country. What did me and him do, or what were we dreaming back in the days to be putting our lights online? Surely not what's happening now. King's Holiday couldn't celebrate it over here. Redneck in charge with the badge. Not gonna have it here. Parish won't vote for it to be legal. Everybody had it legal. I got tired of going to New Orleans and Atlanta, and I said, Winston, I'm gonna make King Holiday legal. He said, yeah, you are. I said, yeah, I've been trying for 2 years and just can't get it quite right.
That's right.
The preacher steal my permits and all kind of stuff happened. I said, but this year
we did it. We did it. And you know what
I said, I have a vision.
You know
he said, what's your vision?
You know what we did with this? You know what we did with this? Almost a year before the parade itself, you know what we did? We went ahead and got ourselves a parade permit for a parade.
He says, they block you every year, they steal your permit.
A parade.
He said, he didn't get a King's Holiday.
I didn't say what it was. It was a parade.
He said, go get a parade permit.
And we got a parade. It was 2 weeks before the parade thing was. Guess what?
So
It's Martin Luther King. Oh my gosh, it can't be.
So I want to tell this because I see all these people that got awards for King Holiday, you know, and reapportionment and who fixed the minority district, and they just skip right over my name some kind of way. You know, I'm like, okay, in the newspaper, so and so will help to bring. Where's mine? Oh, well, I wasn't. Well, I was the person that got the first parade permit. Listening at my friend Winston. Because every time I went to get something for King Holiday and I put Martin Luther King, that was the end of it.
That's right.
So we was going to have a parade.
That's right.
And I said, Winston, I have this vision. He says, what's that? Just like I be doing y'all, man. I say, Winston, I need a casket.
Yep.
So what we going to do with a casket? So I need a great casket. So I called Papa Dahl, the Dahl funeral home. I said,
Good
Papa
man.
Dahl,
Very good man.
I need a casket. He said, well, you ain't playing no band, no baby. I said, no, Papa Dog. I need it for King Holiday, but you can't tell nobody right now because I gotta wait till I get my permit. So Papa Dog said, I got your casket. As long as I ain't putting you in it, a person or the kids, that sound fine. You ain't finna kill nobody. No, Papa Dog. I got your casket. So I said, Winston, I need me some horses. I just wanted just 2 horses and a wagon. He says, I'm gonna do it then. I need 2 horses and a wagon because I'm going to put the casket in the wagon. He said, what's going to be in the casket? I said, racism. We're going to haul racism through this town on the back of a horse-drawn wagon. He said, oh, we just can't have any kind of horse. I'm going to get you some Clydesdale. So I'm going to get Clydesdale. We're going to town.
White, beautiful Clydesdale.
So we go up Pearl
Neatest wagon you've ever seen.
Oh, was it pretty?
Was it a beauty?
It was beauty. And then, after we start putting this together, and me and Winston kind of talking, I said, Winston, you know what else I need? He said, what? I said, I need some music.
Bands.
Need some bands if it's a parade.
Nobody locally would do it.
No, there wasn't any.
No one would, no.
We couldn't even get a single person to come out and blow a trumpet for us.
No!
Won't fool us. So I said, well, I'm going to make some calls. So I called New Orleans.
St. Aug.
Reverend Alexander said, call Jesse. So I called Jesse. That's one good thing Jesse did. So I said, Jesse, every year they want to take people in a place called Possum Hollow for King Holiday, but they don't want to fight for a legal holiday, he says. Possum Hollow? He said, that's not like... I said, how you say? Bunch of niggas in no. I said, that's why I'm not going. I said, they march at night. I said, Dr. Lowry and everybody said, do not march at night in a place called Possum Hollow with no candles. Well, I had heard a rumor that year, you remember we had heard that rumor that they was going to shoot at them with them candles in the dark. So I can go to the community. Don't y'all go down there, march with them candles, because we didn't heard it. Our clans that was converted clans told us, tell them don't do that, that's not safe. So they said what they were going to do, they had heard that somebody was going to go down there and shoot a gun and just let them stampede. So I'm stupid me, I'm going to go out, try to tell them. Oh, it ain't going to happen, God got us. God didn't have you that night. What had them that night was we the ones put the word out if it happened. we were gonna fill every jailhouse around here. Now didn't we say? That's what saved them that night. Y'all getting what I'm saying? But they don't know we was there, had their back. So that they could march peacefully at night because we were gonna march on that parade day. And what we did is I called Jesse, said call Hamp. So I called Mr. Hamp. And if anybody out there do Katrina, still have a copy of that video, please y'all share it with me. Come on, be fair. But there were tons of kids and their parents, and all we had to do was pay for the buses. And Percy worked hard and got that money and paid for every bus that hauled St. Augustine, St. Mary.
We got the vans from New Orleans and Mississippi too.
Then Mississippi we had the buses.
And we had
boy, did we have busload of people
we
from
brought
Mississippi.
people in from Mississippi.
Because why we had to bring busload of people in?
Because no one was going to dare show up.
Y'all hear that? People weren't going to show up. So we bust in the vans, bust in the people. And my cousin called, he was in the Marines. He says, I heard something. I was like, what did you hear? I heard you finna do something crazy through the family. I say, well, I'm fixing to do something. I don't know if it's crazy. He said, tell me what you're gonna do. I said, no, I don't want to get nobody involved with what I'm fixing to do. So don't worry about it. He said, look, tell me what you're fixing to do. I done heard. Are you fixing to march in Slide Hill? I said, yes. And you gonna have a parade and you got a parade permit? I said, yeah. And you're not gonna invite me and I'm from that racist sucker too? He said, you better push over and make room. The United States Marine is on the way. And then told me if I came out, I was gonna go to jail. And I said, Winston, you know what I want? I said, what you want now? I want a 21 gun salute.
True.
So then the sheriff said, and all of them, if she get guns shooting, we taking her to jail. That's when the black people in Slidell, they was peeping from behind. Percy over there, you hear me? Black people peeping all behind the places where we were going, waiting on me to go to jail, because where was I going to go to jail? United States Marine came, my cousin Top Allen, and we had the color guards of the United States Marine, and we had the color guards of the school, and we took to the streets of Slidell. And the police chief, you still living, you know that too. You couldn't mess with me that day, bud, because that little man made him back up. It was a higher ranking man in town. And we came down through carrying racism. And I said, Winston, got something I want to do. Had that done. I need 2 black reefs.
Yes, we did.
2 big black reefs. He said, we're going to do them. Well, Sergeant Alfred had never got his proper honor.
Yes, he did. That's right.
Even though we were fighting to make Sergeant Alfred street,
yeah.
Then you had the racists saying, I don't want that on my mail.
Yeah.
I still want 3rd Street. So they had 3rd Street, so it was 3rd Street and Sergeant Alfred. So I said, that still ain't giving him his proper honors. So his mom and his wife was able to, I called him, I told him, I said, look, we got to honor him. So a friend of mine, she used to work for the floor, she made these beautiful 2 wreaths. And a cousin, he's dead today. We call him Peter Wolf. Peter Wolf and Winston. Job was to pick up PC and heist him up on that racist statue of Griffith down there in Slidell and hang that black reef. And, I wanted taps. And I told them I wanted to hear taps. So we got taps twice played.
Yeah.
Once from St. Aug and then the United States Marine.
Yeah.
We got 21 gun salute for Sergeant Alfred and 21 gun salute for Martin Luther King. Right here. So that next year, they didn't want us to say nothing. So before, it was a King holiday now in January, by March, they passed the law that next year, King holiday was going to be a legal holiday in St. Tammany Parish. All school closed and everybody worked for the state, federal government paid. Thank you very much, friend, because they wouldn't have never got it because the people here wouldn't stand up. We did it. And whoever the gentleman is with the Clydesdale horses, I always thank him too, because those Clydesdale was the most beautiful thing in that wagon you want to see. And I remember someone said, was that white people riding on the wagon, dragging
and
racism?
those white people actually were as redneck as you possibly could.
Way up in Pearl River.
They were from
And
Pearl
they
River.
rode racism on the back of that wagon for me to
were-
let people know Slidell was the biggest racist you ever wanted to see.
Dear folks, that was a really wonderful thing we did.
That's a good memory for us.
It is, and it's for the people. And you know, I I went to a neighborhood watch, and I won't say where, but I went to a neighborhood watch, predominantly black people, and it was on Martin Luther King Day. And you know what I said?
I want you to read this one.
I said, you know, Malcolm X, I said, he died in vain. And they said to me, they all looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, Martin Luther King died in vain. And they all looked at me like I was crazy. I said, I came in this community, and you know what I saw? Steel bars. Steel bars on your windows. Cars in the yard. Trash. Garbage. Fear of your neighbors. I said, ditches that were undug.
And we fought for those.
And I said, he fought, and I said, and the people were fighting. I said, you want to do something? Take the damn bars down. I said, yeah, someone comes in your house, shoot him. That's what I told him. But the thing of it is, don't live in fear.
Our biggest thing about those bars was people was locking themselves in
the fire.
Fires was
They're burning up.
Y'all get what I'm saying?
They were burning
They
up.
couldn't get them and their children out because the bedroom window
They were
had a bomb.
Bars, yeah. And so anyway, the long and short of it was we did this, and we got the ditches done, and we had all the cars crushed, and the money we used from the crushed cars was to fix the community
and have a party
with it. But you know something? I'm so proud to be here today.
I'm proud
Elwin, and I have something for you, Elwin. I wrote a book. I wrote a cookbook. I wrote a cookbook.
Oh, I forgot to tell him.
Yeah, we're cooking with McGruff.
This cooking with Chief, but that's cooking with
We
McGruff.
cooked with McGruff, and we sold enough tickets, books, at $10 a piece. People would go to the police departments and pay the fine and buy the book. And I raised enough money to sponsor my crime prevention programs for 2 years.
That was good.
That's information, that literature that had to be paid for. But this is a book I wrote. It's called In Security.
Okay.
And there's people that are security guards. You're listening, and no one really talks much about what you did. And in my early days in Canada, I worked for Western Investigation Bureau, and I wanted to be a Mountie, a policeman. But while I was going to school, I was a security officer, then director of a huge mall for Hudson Bay Company. But I wrote a book, and it's called In Security. Only problem with my book is there's so many grammatical errors in this book. I don't let it go out to anyone. But
since we already have errors within us, it's
yeah.
all right.
This is to you, Elwin.
I told you I did look over.
And I took the liberty of putting a little thing in the book right here for you, dear.
Okay, and I don't
Just a
have
little,
my glasses.
no, just a little bit about you. I think, dear folks, we've got to raise above the torment that has happened in the past, and we have to look into the future.
So we need new songs.
But we also, at the same time, we have to recognize these things that are wrong, and make it sure that the people know that it's wrong.
That's right.
And the young people need to know this. But we don't want a revolution. That's not the point.
That's where I wanted to go before we close out on this show. All of that was going on back then. People wasn't picking guns up in the communities, shooting at nobody. Even with the abuse, something now is wrong. It's too much shooting and killing and violence. People scared to go to church, scared to send their children to school, scared to go to the store. I just heard they had a shooting that 9 people or 8 or 9 people up at Southern University.
Have you noticed some of the videos?
The violence had to stop.
Have you seen some of the videos that's being put out that kids are looking at? Shoot the policeman video, shooting teachers in videos, and even some of the rap stuff is
My
really,
daughter's a school teacher. We have, I had cousins on the police department.
Yeah.
We had black and white polices we worked with, and we saw black and white polices that wasn't good. Never in our time we ever tried to do anything radical.
Radical, yeah.
We call the FBI, people. Call somebody. I've been where there's nobody to call.
If you can't trust it.
He been where he didn't have nobody to call. My people that's dead here lived here. And they had France, Spain, Britain, America, and all of the racism you see. But it didn't make them violent against people.
Yeah.
We need communication.
Well, yeah.
We need education. The real history need to be taught so people can have respect for one another.
Yeah.
And when you and I lost a cousin by the police in police brutality in his own house, Edmo Green. It didn't turn me against all polices. We actually just about knew that was that same crooked group that did that to him was the same crooked group that was coming after you and I. But with me, it was easier to block than with you. All they had to do call the preachers on the phone and say, don't mention nothing in your church. Tell your members stay far away from her, okay? Or I'll take your badge. You remember that? Mm-hmm. All the police had a badge. So they had to tell y'all, don't fool with me, and I was crazy because they were going to lose the badge. Mm-hmm. And with Winston, it was a little harder because he was a police officer saying, this is what's happening. When I was the one telling this to the FBI, that was one thing. Mm-hmm. But when you got Winston and other officers stepping forward saying, this is what's really going on in the black community. Do y'all know I'm talking about this stuff was in the 80s and the 90s, we out there fighting it? And we should not have to deal with that.
You know, the thing of it is, it's an insidious thing. If a cop stands up for what's right in many ways, if he stands and, says the truth in many ways, he can be blackballed. And I want to explain the word blackballing. Blackballing makes it so that you cannot get a job in any law enforcement agency anywhere because your sheriff says you're crazy. That's the quickest thing in blackballing. An admirable man, an honest man, a good man, you have to drag him down to a lower level to raise yourself up. And I say this to you tonight. So many of you people have gone through this, have had this experience. You stood for what was right. That makes you yards higher than the others because you had what's called integrity, principles. For if an officer does not have any integrity, he should never be allowed in a uniform. Now, I fought it for years, and I couldn't get a job as a dog catcher after my election. But I never gave up. I never gave up.
And it didn't make you try and corrupt?
No, I didn't. I finally got into a security for Wells Fargo here in New Orleans. I couldn't even get a gun. Do you know that? I wasn't able to have a firearm, and I worked in Fisher, Desire, and Albumin projects at night. A white guy with a flashlight.
It's about bad as me going to Pearl River back in the days.
Yeah. You know what that meant? I was out of my mind to do that. But guess what? People respected me.
Because you have that personality.
But because I cared about them. I didn't go out there to whack on somebody and beat them up. I cared about the people. And I was considered the worst specific place I could be.
Well, they sent you over there for a reason.
Oh yeah, to die.
But it didn't happen, because they didn't know
They didn't think I would, they thought I would die, but I did not die. I lived. And I then went on to Texas. But I guess the thing that I'm telling you, and if there anyone, New Orleans governmental officials or anyone having a problem in their area, that they'd like to have me just plain talk to the people.
Even if we have officers out there that witnessing some of this stuff going on.
Yeah.
Don't call me. Don't call me.
And if they're frightened,
call Winston and say, look, Winston, this is what...
Yeah. And if you're frightened of this, call the federal people.
Yeah. But some of them scared of the federal people.
No, if you're frightened of that, send them information.
That's what we did.
Don't even use your name, but give the information and report out.
I had somebody fraud me a while back, about 10, 15 years ago. I didn't even know it because they was doing it online, and I'm so busy doing other stuff, and I found out I was being frauded. So, they didn't know me. They had just heard about me and came around me. They didn't know me. So, people were saying, what are they going to do? I said, well, I'm going to investigate them. They were like, what you mean you're going to investigate them? You and I, we were the best. I'm like, I'm going to see where this thing leads to and how many. And sometimes when you're doing that, you got to take the abuse of what's going on so you can see where it starts and end. Yeah. And my family was getting frustrated. I'm like, no, let's see where it go and what do they want. So when we found out they wanted my identity, okay? So I got my little packet together And I had different people doing some full investigation. But before I even got the packet together, I got pictures. I snapshot some of the things that they were saying and doing. And I went and called the FBI. I'm like, y'all were organized to take care of Indians. That's your first mission. When Indians is being abused, misused, and threatened. So this chief is being threatened and my identity being stolen. And y'all need to come start back. I know y'all done chased the moonshiners and the dope addicts, but I got some nuts over here. So I called them and saw the pictures. I didn't hear nothing from them for a good minute. So I held several meetings to alert the community about the fraud that was going on. And again, some politician, you see where they got their finger in the pot and pushing. So everybody was looking. Well, Elwin is a crook and she done did this. I'm like, well, you don't know my friends. Ask my friends. I'm not no crook. I don't have nothing. I ain't never had nothing to take. And I've been around y'all and I ain't took nothing from none of y'all. So who I took something from? So it was just anybody they could get, like the game they played back in the day. They got out there and they was going to try to scam, and I didn't know what they was scamming for. They wasn't from here. And the next thing he says, do you know she called the FBI? She's an agent. I ain't no doggone FBI agent. I'm a citizen that know how to use the agencies that's put there for us to use properly. So here I'm going to tell you all this. Don't call yourself, let me tell you, you're a tattletale or you calling the Fed. That is what they are paid for. They are paid to go see and investigate. If a burglar is at your door, who do you call? The police.
Yes, you do.
You don't call the doctor. So you don't say, oh, that's a tattletale. You call because the burglar was at the door. Take your FBI as another level of law. Do they have crooked FBIs? Got crooked everything. Crooked black people, crooked white people, crooked preachers, crooked polices and FBIs and politicians. The thing is, community build a relationship with these agencies so they get to know you, you get to know them, and it's not that you tattling, but you can say somebody like, we got too much human trafficking going on.
Oh, yeah.
Too much drug smuggling. I'm looking at gang signs starting to go up in Slidell.
Oh, I hate it. I go to schools and I'm doing a talk and some kid is doing this to this other kid. While I'm talking, he's throwing a gang sign across this way and that way.
We have taken through politics and people who don't even have children have made laws. Then they want you to discipline your kids. But then when your kids do something, they start calling the law enforcement to be the discipline. And I think that's wrong because that put the police in a bad spot.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're starting the child off at a young age dealing with a criminal mentality where they should be able to call Uncle Joe. There were kids who didn't have their father or their grandfather. Call Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe came, boy, come here. What they said. You want me to come back here again? And average time he didn't have to whip you because you know what you're going to say, Will? Not going to do it. Will is an example of a soldier, brunch. Mom had boys. She was the boss, and she did I said, who was your Boy Scout?
My mom.
Who taught you to swim?
About half of the kids in the neighborhood, in the community, how to swim, how to go out and fish, crab, do everything.
Your whole community did. Exactly.
Being that a woman was that strong, did she make you weak?
Nope, not at all.
See, when they start saying if you listen to a woman, you're weak. His mom right now, up in age, he got a picture. She go out there, the snake ate her. This is what called culture. Snake ate her bird. He say, oh, Chief, mama finna get that snake. And next thing he sent me a picture, she got that snake because that snake had her bird. And she was going up her step and brought her in the house. Everybody else take snake out. She bring him in the house. She got to see that he eat her bird. A tough woman in cultural community. Even tribally, it was a matriarch. The women speak. Every one of us, if a grandmother or aunt or somebody spoke, that was E.F. Hutton.
Big mama.
What's bad about it in the community? If the men come through, the baddest man they had, and if that woman that had authority in their community say, hey, Bob, come here. Yes, ma'am. I heard somebody say the other day, and this was just a while back with me, because I'm not out there like I used to be from the drug communities. But you know, I used to go to the drug community. And the drug addicts would hide whatever they had. You sitting at that mic, you know I'm telling the truth. I can't say I saw them smoke nothing, sell nothing. I know they did it, but I couldn't prove it. Why? They gave me that kind of respect. If I walked up on one of them and had a liquor bottle, they went behind their back. I had this old raggedy brown truck, they could hear me coming. And by the time I get there, whatever they were doing wasn't there. If I say tomorrow is election day, y'all stay sober, y'all better not get drunk. Because you can't even vote to make your alcohol or your drugs legal if you don't go straight and go vote. Let me tell you something. I watch people go vote. Authority in the community. But that's something earned. You don't take that. So, we as people of color have been abused in all departments. Even now the abuse is in our community.
That's
Because
the
when
tragedy.
we're not hugging the younger generation, that's a form of abuse. But what I think we need to do is go back and get people culturally in their communities. When they decided to divide community up, that community over there might have had a base, but you pushed them out and they scattered. Now all of those kids go out into the world, picking up new habits. Y'all know we done seen this happening. And then the parents can't control the new habit because it's not something that they're used to. Now the biggest culprit is our phones and computers.
Oh, yeah.
The kids now, you can't police them in the community because they worldwide web doing their job. You know, we're going to have to take our communities back.
Yeah.
Okay? And how you take it back, your house first, your block first, your streets next to you, and expand outward. If we each take control of our house and the communities around us together.
You know, we were saying, I was listening to a speech from a Navy SEAL commander the other day, and I wanted to pass this on to you. He said one of the most important things in the training to be a Navy SEAL commander, to teaching to his people, you're going to laugh when I tell you this, making the bed. You ready for this? Making the bed. If you don't start off making the bed, shining the shoes, little steps, not giant steps,
Baby steps.
baby steps, get your thing called pride. Be proud of who you are.
That's right.
And it starts from small, achievable things. Don't tell me, I want to be president. That's why I'm not going to work here. No, you got to start slow. Work your way back. Shovel the snow in the wintertime and get 50 cents for it, or $1, or whatever it is today. But get your respect back. And I'm going to tell you, I don't like any of you. I love you. That's why we're here today. We love you enough to tell you these things, and there's no other reason why we're doing this today.
And that's why I wanted to do this show. I wanted people to know that, to have the community the way we had it, the way we work with the community. The reason people like you might could trust us is because we cared. It was not no money. And we need young people to understand leadership. What would make two people at that time come together and do what we did with all odds against us? If I walked in the church, I'm guessing, oh Lord, what's she doing? So what would make you don't care if the status quo? Now, that don't mean the whole town had that problem. I want to correct that out there. Because I know I'm going to have people to say, no, you know we always love you no matter where, and that's the truth. We're talking about the corrupt people that had control over the few little blacks that had some kind of position, that they had to duck and dodge me. And same in the white community with him. They had power to make them duck and dodge me.
I found that after my election, there were many people that were police officers would walk around the block. If I said something, he's coming in. Wouldn't stop gassing their car when they spoke to me.
But you know what I'm glad of? I'm glad those people were not our friends.
Oh.
And I'm glad we didn't give in to get along.
No.
You know, we went on. But God blessed me to have some good friends. Mm-hmm. There were polices that was black. There were polices white. From the Slidell PD, you know that, to the sheriff department, to the state trooper that was there with us. So out there, when you're saying for the police is to stand up and see what's going on, I got another show I want you to do with a friend of mine, as I promised him with Chili Mo's. People need to hear from a police that actually stood up with the community of color. And he have not received to me the thanks that he should have gotten, because he helped bring a lot of stuff. Y'all heard him say he called all the way to the top. They sent help down. We would have the FBI by your house and mass cheered, taking them through, showing them what was happening to the black community. But the black community didn't stand up all the way for themselves. You know that.
Well, they didn't because of fear.
That's right.
And
So
now,
now,
most of the cases of crimes being solved in New Orleans and other, it's Crime Stoppers.
that's right.
Crime
So I
Stoppers.
want y'all to know, don't ever say we didn't try here. But out there now, it's getting worse than it was when we were there. And y'all gonna have to pull together, and you're gonna have to build some coalitions across racial lines. I think I wanna say something that's gonna make some people mad and some gonna understand. I've been hearing different shows, and we playing with our kids' minds on this internet. A lot of people back and forth with stuff without saying keep the peace. And they're creating violence. But I want to say something, and I've never been politically correct. But we got to watch what we're saying. I want to cover this because we got to come together across racial lines. I'm to the point now I'm seeing blue flags flying to my blue lives matter, black lives matter, white life matter, heck, red life matter. And we got where if you say something, you get blackballed, like you
Yeah,
say.
oh, you can't, yeah. Politically correct.
I think what everybody is trying to say, that everybody feels somewhere that they are being misused or left out. And I'm going to come from an Indian perspective. I see more Asian and white Indians having rights than I do as me that actually supposed to be the red man Indian, you know? We supposed to be the red people. Who have been left out in America more than anybody
That's right.
is the real Indians of America, the real indigenous people of America. I'm not talking about somebody created a tribe. I'm chief of a tribe, been here. They say we ancient. But we can be here ancient and we visible but invisible. You getting what I'm saying? Because if we become visible, somebody got to be accounted. Accountable.
I challenge the internet and all these, not the internet, the TV shows, they have anchors, black, white.
What happened to us?
Well, wait a minute. What happened to the American Indian?
That's what I'm saying.
If you can find an American Indian on a national network, call me at home. Night or
Look,
day.
let's correct it. American Indian that look like Chief Warhorse. It can be a male or female.
But I mean,
Long as they have
but I mean,
this.
a real
You ain't
Indian.
gonna find- you ain't gonna
Can you find one?
No.
Have you ever seen a Chinese person on TV? Maybe once?
A little more than the Indian.
Oh, yeah. Well,
A little more than the Indian.
sure. Why not?
Because they on there for Indian and for Asian.
Yeah.
They Asiatic Indian.
Yeah.
King and all that.
Okay. But the Indians like me are invisible. That's why this show is here.
This is the invisible nation.
This is there you
I think
go.
that's the name of it, the invisible nation.
And we have helped a lot of people being invisible, so we
Invisible.
can do all what we did invisible to help so many people.
Yes.
Man, what happened if they make us visible, you know? But you know what? There's no strings attached to this show. Nobody can't tell me who to have on my show. Nobody can't tell me what topic to talk about. I can talk about. I understand they get mad with people if somebody says, well, this life matter. We can't even say nothing life matter no more. It's like they done put a copyright.
Well, I
Well,
said
my
that.
life-
I said this to a young.
My life, I'm getting a little controversial.
Yeah.
My life matters. If it was not for the American Indian, all the other lives that matter wouldn't be here. White lives won't be here.
Yeah.
Black lives won't be here.
Exactly.
Because the first life on these lands
Was the
was the
Indian.
American Indian. And they, especially before below the 31st parallel. I know above too, but I'm sticking with my zone. East and West Florida. They were looking like me. And we don't have no rights, no laws, no nothing protecting the indigenous people. We're not even tourist attraction, because I looked in the book. They don't even mention us in here. We just invisible.
Well, sure you
And
are.
if invisible people can make it with no rights, what is everybody else complaining about? We have no rights. And I'm a civil rights leader fighting for other people's rights, and you know that.
Yeah, I know that.
But I have no rights. And then somebody thought I had a lot of rights and a lot of money, and they tried to steal my identity and say they was the Indians from here. What you was finna steal was a lot of HELL from around the world. Okay? Which they do say, the mother one say, they come out of hole. To be an Indian in America, this color is like going to hell
And you know,
without dying.
but I will tell you something which is rather interesting about TV and radio. The things that you put on radio many times, they can take your statement that you just said, and we can reverse that statement and later take a sound bite from here and turn it into a sound bite. And you can be a fascist person.
Oh, they'll do
You
that.
can be anything. TV takes things out of context. And
Well, on this show, I told him in the beginning, Cooking with Chief, serving up history, and tell the truth, Winston. Just like I did before. You know what? Nobody ever kicked us off those stations we was on back then either, and that was white-owned
which
stations.
was weird.
I always wonder. I was on a
Well,
redneck station
Well,
and never got
you
kicked
know,
off.
WSDL radio was real interesting. Was there the young disc jockey at the time? I said I want to have a radio show. He said, "Well, I tell you what, you can't have a radio show because you don't have a radio voice." And I said, "Okay, I'll get a radio voice." So I went to the public library here in town, and I talked to an elderly public librarian, and I said, "How do I get a radio voice?" He says, "Well, you could go to college." I said, "Well, I really need it like next week." And she said to me, she says, "Well, the only thing I can tell you is there's a 33 groove record, there's 3 of them, and a book, dusty book, it says How to Be a Radio Announcer. And it was made in 1941.
I'm glad I ain't see that.
Oh, I did. So anyway, yeah, this is how I did. So I would turn the records into cassettes and stick them in my police car. And I'd be out there and I learned your diaphragmatic breathing. You too could be a radio announcer. And you
Okay,
could
well,
talk
he
from
go
here.
with you here. So.
And you know, you too could be a radio announcer. I told her the time it was going to be 9:45 right here in Slidell, Louisiana. And of course, we've got some great things coming up. I learned how, and I went back to that same guy. I had 3 advertisers, right? I put their money on the counter, and that's for 3 months. And I said, "By golly, it's great to be here, and by gosh, I've got the show all lined up. I got the advertisers, and I got a great show program. So let's just go on with the show. By gosh, where did you get the radio involved? I went to the radio school to get it."
Now y'all understand, even though they was trying to kill us, he could keep us laughing while they trying to kill us. And when I came on, I'm like, what's the one I'm doing the show? Just put the headphones on, just when I ask you a question, you just answer and we get this gonna go. And that's how I started, okay? So if everybody wanna know how long and when I started, this the guy that threw me out there on the radio and said, this is the way it work. Just say it. And we raised money for food and raised food banks.
Oh, we raised money for the statue of McGruff. Guess what? We made the money for the statue of McGruff, and it was to be at the courthouse. And during my election, they took the statue. The sheriff at the time said that it was too dangerous and it would fall and hurt somebody. So they took it behind the jail and ran over it 5 times with a pickup truck. But what I'm saying is, it was the kids' money. It was the parish money. And but like earlier, I hit you up in this.
Oh, and you didn't tell them this. All money's raised in whatever community we was in. That community had to have its own community watch,
Yes, it had.
its own
They
secretary.
paid for their signs. They paid for their literature, everything. Their food for when I came. I never derived a dime.
None of us could get money because we made sure you organized and we just showed you
Showed up.
how to make it work.
That's right.
So we couldn't steal money in our days because we didn't have it.
And the Elks Club and the Rotarian clubs.
You know, when I left
when I
that
needed a
brother-
film, they would get me a
So
film.
you remember
Everybody.
Ray's bullpen?
Oh yeah.
Bring a truck. I'm gonna do the truck. Got some food. You said you're doing the baskets. I'm like, well, okay, I'm gonna get a truck. No, that truck ain't big enough. Remember all them onions and potatoes?
Yes.
Truck stopped calling. got your onion and potatoes. And I'm steady bringing cook.
Cook, yeah.
He's like, Dad, this year you passing out onions and potatoes? And truck stop coming. Got onions and potatoes. You run around and getting onions and potatoes from everywhere. We're like, Lord, what we gonna do now? All these onions and potatoes. And that's the year the Catholic Church says.
Yeah.
Our bishop had to say, onions, potatoes, I think we can help you with the turkeys and the hams. And boy, now I called Winston. Winston, where we gonna put all these turkeys and ham? The truck's coming in. He says, well, we're gonna go, the children gonna be out of school. They're gonna be to take the food out. You remember that year?
Yeah.
They're gonna be to take the food out to school. So let's call the school and tell them we want to fill up their freezers with turkeys and hams. So we did some crazy stuff. And the swagman called me and he like, well, we can't get the food no closer than the store. I mean, you gotta get it from the store to where y'all at. Y'all know we was retarded out there, me and Pat and Winston, and we running food back and forth in police cars, any kind of raggedy car we got, get me back. And I was telling them that they don't believe me this. I'm glad you told my daughter. He had made so much trouble for himself in the police department. They gave, when they got the new police station off of arresting all the black folks for drugs, and they bought the new first police station, they gave him the old jail cell.
Prison.
He got the old prison. And then he says, well, you just won't come and you just put your office over here. So we end up with the old jailhouse.
I was up on the third
And
floor,
that's
no
what we
elevator.
No.
No elevator on the third floor, and you know the federal government said? It was unfit for human beings.
Oh my.
It was unfit, and I had a little box fan this big that turned like this. And it was so hot in the summertime, and my cell was
Do
cell
y'all hear
block
him?
D.
I wasn't letting him go without
I
y'all
was
knowing
in
he worked
cell
out of a
block
jail
D
cell. Tell him
for
where you
3.5
was.
years.
I had the office over there because I needed more space for my food.
But I had the cell, and in the summertime, the sweat, would roll down my hands, and my hands would get soaking wet.
What, you in the jailhouse too, in the old jail in Slidell? We was there too.
No, I was in the Covington jail.
Yeah, but I said the old jail, we had to work out there with the food basket at the
But
Slidell.
we did that, but I spent most of my time in jail.
So
up
they
there.
never gave us a good place, nothing but jailhouse.
I was in the cell block D up there.
I wasn't in the cell block in
It
Slidell. I was in that
really
storage
unfit for
room.
prisoners.
Yeah.
It was unfit for prisoners, and my desk was steel, and the chairs were frozen to the ground, and the floors were gray, the walls were gray, and you know I had a key to get in and out of my cell, and I did that.
I had to
3.5
go work
years.
down there because I couldn't work from any of the churches because the order was given out by the power that be not to let me work from the church. So I went shared jailhouse time and worked with my friend, and we were more successful than the people that were free. Isn't that something? On all the programs.
Yeah.
And we never tried to collect money. We collected food. And so I brought the first food program to this parish based off we seeing the hunger that we was running into. And I did it in conjunction with Father Hall
Yeah,
and Archbishop Hannon. And then guess where the food I told them to bring it? Bring it to the black churches. You remember I did
yes.
that? So they'll bring the food. They make the list. I get it to Archbishop Hannon and a truck will bring the food to the churches that wouldn't even let me talk. So those are things people won't say. The minority district, I fought for it.
We need more people to be examples for the goodness in this country. We need teachers to stand up for what's right, to stand up to the school board, to stand up because
You don't even mean you win all the time. Not the win that you want, but you put a dent in it. I feel like taking the bite out of crime that we did,
yes,
out of the power that be crime, we took some bites out. Like I told you, we didn't get the part I wanted to bite.
yeah,
But we took some bites out and we left some dents,
that's right.
teeth imprint that we been there on some others. You know, like a couple of them just went in, we left print marks on them long time ago.
Yes, we did.
Okay, we left marks on them.
But
So, what I want to tell y'all out there, can't get nothing done if you don't start.
it starts with one person, yourself. And really seriously, you really have to start with yourself, and you have to improve yourself every day in every way.
Today was looking back, moving forward, and I'm telling you, he's not going anywhere. He's 80. You heard he got a renewed warranty on. So, if y'all want to get it, try us. Because we would use these warranties. We don't need no guns. We got facts and action and a history behind us of nothing but proof. It been good cooking with you. And this is so funny. Cooking with McGruff. So cooking with Chief meets cooking with McGruff. Boy, y'all had a good service today, right? And ministers, I'm not being hard on you, but God gonna be more hard on you than I am if you don't get on up and take care of some business. I don't want no soldiers that don't put up a fight. You've been cooking with Chief, serving up history. We out.